Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Rachel Pradhan, the Director of Business Development for the Attivo Group, and today we're going to discuss some of the struggles manufacturing and distribution business owners struggle with as they move out of their startup phase and find that their accounting system, such as QuickBooks, is just not enough to deal with the needs and what's out there that can help them move into the next level of their business. So, like so many manufacturers and distributors out there, you probably started out with a great idea, a lot of hard work. You created products or found the perfect ones to distribute, and you grew your business from 1 or 2 people to 25 or 100 employees. When you were small and a simple accounting system like QuickBooks was all you needed, and the inventory was in your head at first. Then maybe a spreadsheet and customer orders were done through email. And with all your hard work, your business has grown and you feel like you should be doing better, but the truth is you're just working harder than ever. And you seem to need to constantly hire new people to handle the growth, and your net revenue never seems to go up. Customers that were ecstatic with your service are now frustrated and threatening to leave because their order is slow to ship or their return just isn't acknowledged. Perhaps you've even experienced the pain of losing an important document because there's no central location. The processes that were fine when you started your business are no longer helping you. So where do you go from here? That's a great question, and with that, let me introduce our speaker for today, Len Rio. He's our President and General Manager for the Attivo Group and founded the company in 1992. And before that, he had a significant career in cost accounting and financial management with several manufacturing and distribution companies. During this period, he found his passion in developing and improving business processes and the information systems that support them. As one of the foremost experts in business processes and ERP systems, Len has built Attivo into a national operation with clients spanning the entire United States. So, Len, what are we going to be talking about today?
Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Today, we'll be covering the struggles we're all experiencing and what you can do to counter it, including how to find out where you can reduce costs and how to improve cost controls, the benefits of having visibility into critical areas of your business, how to overcome and automate challenges in customer service and quality management, advice on planning for your eventual exit from the business, and how to increase the value of your business. And we'll look briefly at some systems that are out there and why they aren't so scary or expensive anymore. We want to have this as today's webinar as a dialogue and answer any questions that you may have. So please use the chat feature of the webinar to ask a question as you think of them, and then we'll review them at the end of the webinar, and we'll also open the phone lines for live questions and answers at the end as well. So diving right in, let's look at cost controls. Everyone is under constant pressure to keep prices as low as possible for your customers, and the only way to have reasonable margins is by closely managing manufacturing and distribution costs. However, if you've been using manual systems or simply not tracking things as important as labor and material usage, then it's really hard to know what to fix. Or if you try to do something to fix something, did it really fix anything? As they tell us in MBA school, you can only manage what you measure. Based on that, it is clear that we need to understand the cost of materials, labor, overhead, subcontract manufacturing, all of the costs for each product or service that we produce, handle, and ship, which is nearly impossible without the right systems. Thankfully, there are systems that can automate your workflows that allow you to easily track all of the important information that you need to know your costs. These systems can help highlight the areas in your business that can be improved. And the integration of these automated processes into your business systems eliminates duplication of effort. A very large part of cost control has to do with visibility. Inventory requires the most control for both distributors and for manufacturers. Too much inventory and cash flow is crippled. Too little and customer service is affected. Either condition increase costs, and stockouts cost you lost revenue. Procurement advice can be highly automated using min-max logic, or material requirements planning, or forecasting tools and other methods to help you optimize inventory levels so that you can maximize inventory availability without tying up all of the cash on hand with excess inventory. You've probably heard the term just-in-time inventory. Well, I'm talking about avoiding just-in-case inventory. We have to think of inventory on the shelves like $100 bills, not cardboard boxes. So capturing critical cost elements should be a natural part of the manufacturing and distribution process. For example, employees have to punch a time clock to get paid. Why not ask for the work order number they will be working on at the same time? Materials are required for production. Why not issue them to a work order to capture usage? Purchase orders need to be written for outside services. Why not charge them to a work order? ERP, or Enterprise Resource Planning Systems, gives you these capabilities so that you can operate using best practices, the result of which is better visibility of costs so that you can provide more accurate quotes, price products correctly, or determine where you need to improve processes to reduce operating costs. Clearly, reducing administrative tasks saves money. So think of the areas in your business that have duplication of information. A separate warranty tracking spreadsheet, a worksheet for quote follow-ups, one for collection calls, a list of approved vendors that's outside on a spreadsheet as well, their pricing. You can probably name quite a few. As I went through that list, I'm sure a few came to your mind. You've seen the spreadsheets in meetings, and you often waste meeting time comparing notes with one another and verifying information. A well-designed ERP system has what I call one version of the truth. There are no opportunities for schedules that are not up to date, since there is only one location in the system for every transaction record. Errors cost money in many ways. The goal should always be to touch each transaction once and do it right the first time. However, the customer is always right, correct? Agree or disagree, but the time required to correct errors is going to depend on how quickly you can access the right information. And this is where an ERP system really shines. Drilling down to the right answer and quickly resolving an issue is critical, because everyone would agree there is no money in correcting errors. I visit a lot of businesses and provide business process assessments along with recommendations for process improvements. I often see personnel saving documents such as quotes or order acknowledgments as a PDF, saving it to their desktops, and then bringing up their email, attaching the document, and sending it off to someone, and I can't help but think, well, there was a waste of time. And the only person at this company that knows what happened was them, because all of that resides only in the sender's Outlook account. No one else knows that it happened. This is not the case with an integrated ERP and customer relationship management system where everyone can have visibility to this kind of information. A good ERP system includes this kind of functionality. You would probably agree that the pace of business has increased to real time, or at least it's headed there. It certainly is different than 10 years ago, and way different than 20 years ago. Most decisions need to be made now, without the benefit of protracted analysis and lookup of data. You need access to up-to-the-minute data to be able to react efficiently and with a high degree of certainty. What is that like when you have manual systems? It takes a long time, doesn't it? Sometimes hours or days before any real information can be realized. So how can you make quick business decisions that help you stay competitive and responsive in the marketplace when you can't clearly see your business? The screenshots on this slide are from one of the applications that we work with, Exact-Macola 10. You can improve your visibility with real-time data. For example, if you saw a pie chart that quickly shows you that the sales funnel was light this week, would you get on your sales team to step it up? Probably, especially if you had early warning. If you could easily see that a raw material is running low through a quick graph, would you take action before it runs out? Of course you would. It's this kind of real-time reporting and visibility that allows startups to get out of the startup phase and move into the big leagues. Let me show you how quickly and how easy it is for each person in your company to have reporting that's meaningful to their roles and how it can help them do a better job. We've heard it before from many entrepreneurs. They started their business with basic systems and it worked for quite a while. Customer service was literally sticky notes and emails, which was fine when you were dealing with just a handful of clients and orders. But when customers start ranging in the dozens and inboxes and emails have more flags than the United Nations, then you started to run into issues. Sales starting to slip through the cracks and delivery becoming later and later. There are solutions that can help with customer service and sales, and you've probably heard it referred to as CRM or customer relationship management. Very often these CRMs that might be in the marketplace are not integrated into the accounting and other systems, which means a lot of those notes and information that was gathered during the sales process is lost when they become a customer. We see a lot of companies using Salesforce, for example, but not having it connected to any other part of their information system. But with an integrated system, not only is all the history preserved, but you can see such things as a workflow that notifies the salesperson when a client hasn't bought in a while, helping you keep those clients that were so hard and so expensive to get in the first place. And if your manufacturing operations require quality management, that can be tracked right in the system as well. Lead times can often be the difference between winning and losing a job or an order. In a manual system, you have to allow for record keeping that is going to happen after the fact. This automatically builds in a longer lead time to react to changing conditions. Your competition will do better than that, and your lead times may not win the business. Also, imagine if you could provide meaningful and accurate lead times that were competitive rather than padding it just in case. Would that be a competitive edge? But most importantly, meeting those delivery times on a consistent basis is the most important aspect of customer service. This is where visibility really counts. Knowing where you are in the process of fulfilling orders and commitments means everything to you and your customers. Customer support, also a very important aspect of customer retention. Very few customers will be repeat customers today if their support experience isn't great with your company. And improving customer support functions is always one of the goals of every ERP implementation that we perform. ERP can provide information at your fingertips, thereby reducing the overall time required to deal with a support issue. from accurate sales information to a company knowledge base to search for answers. Your goal should be to have customers raving about your support. They're almost willing to overlook price if support is paramount to them. Here's another aspect of strong systems and the argument to have ERP working efficiently for you. Most entrepreneurs start a business with the idea that at some point they will sell the business for a big profit and retire, or start another business from the sale. But did you know that the business value of your company will go down without the right systems in place? Imagine that the future buyer of your company is doing their due diligence and they are evaluating your company's inventory valuation. You provide them with your Excel inventory spreadsheet, which has no link to an audit trail, and they find a few discrepancies. They begin to doubt your internal controls and therefore your valuation of inventory. They are only going to accept, say, 60% of your number, and it's really hard for you to defend otherwise. That's called dilution, and it lowers the value of your company in the eyes of the buyer. You may have systems, even custom program systems, developed just for you and your company. Or maybe it's a simple system of QuickBooks and Excel spreadsheets. But if that system is not easily audited and well documented, you may find that the business that you thought was worth a fortune is getting junk value. Homegrown systems rely on either the clever entrepreneur who developed them or an outside resource that created a one-off system that relies on them for support. Either way, this can be seen as adding risk to the opportunity for the buyer rather than adding value. So think twice about writing your own software to do things that are readily available as mainstream systems. A company that is invested in efficient systems has a lower cost structure by definition. There is no argument that this adds value. And systems that can be audited support not only ongoing compliance requirements, but also a successful due diligence effort in the event of a business sale. There is less overall risk and compliance exposures associated with strong systems. And often, smaller companies are good candidates for acquisition by larger, more sophisticated companies that cannot easily integrate manual systems. So what should you do in this situation? You need an effective, established, and reliable ERP system that's scalable and easy to support. One that's well documented and easily audited and not subjected to human double entry and errors. These kind of ERP or enterprise resource planning software systems are out there. There's a lot of different options, and many have a very high cost to start in both capital and in time. Kind of scary. So what's out there for you? Thankfully, there's plenty of options out there that are not that scary to the entrepreneur. Ones that are low cost and easy to set up and are still scalable for your growth and success. Another point I'd like to make is that if you visit the QuickBooks or the Intuit marketplace, you'll find what looks like an endless supply of add-on software that is designed to handle specific business problems such as quoting or CRM, and then allow any financial results to be imported into QuickBooks. These are all very tempting, even including a free 30-day trial. Seems like a quick fix, and it might be, but it doesn't address the longer-term issue of one version of the truth, because now you have two systems, or three, or four, nor is it real-time data, since it relies on an import process to be run to integrate it into the rest of the system. You might also hear your staff say, well, we know QuickBooks really well, and our CPA uses it. To that, you should say, well, no one has ever built a great company because people were comfortable with some ineffective software that happened to be familiar. And you do not have to patch together a bunch of add-on software anymore. There are easy-to-use, affordable systems that can do it all for you. One of our favorite systems is the one we've been showing you periodically, Xactmacola 10. It's a browser-based system that allows you to work where you want. And being browser-based, it's much more intuitive from a user perspective to just pick up on what I'm supposed to do next. Use it from a laptop, a tablet, or a smartphone. You can work anywhere there's Wi-Fi, allowing you to easily check inventory, provide quotes, take orders at a trade show, update a customer card while in a sales meeting, or run a real-time report while on vacation. Just what you were looking for, I'm sure. But it's all about real-time business, real-time reporting, without waiting until you get back into the office. But if I was in your position, I'd be wondering, what are the costs of such a system? Can I really afford this? Let's run some quick numbers to give you an idea. We've covered a few reasons to consider evaluating where you are in terms of your company's systems. So you're probably thinking that this is going to be expensive, and no doubt it is, because this is going to be an investment. But let's consider some top competitors in the Tier 2 marketplace. By the way, Tier 1 is used to describe really large ERP systems like Oracle and SAP, which cost in the millions. And Tier 3 refers to QuickBooks, Peachtree, and other do-it-yourself systems used by small businesses. Tier 2 ERP is for those emerging growth companies in the small to medium-sized business range. So the prices on this slide for Sage 100, Sage 500, Xactmacola 10, Dynamics GP, the software, this is a monthly subscription cost, but this software is also available for outright purchase if you prefer to do that. The pricing would range anywhere from $2,500 per user to $4,000 per user, plus typically an annual maintenance fee of 10 to 20% for updates and support and such. The interesting thing is that what looked like a fortune, if you only had a half a dozen people, is very affordable. The return on investment is pretty easy to figure out at this kind of price point. There's more cost than this when you first get started, however. You can expect training and implementation consulting services to cost somewhere between $10,000 and $50,000 or more, depending on the number of users that you have to be trained and so forth. How much of this project you can do yourself and how much you try to accomplish up front. Remember, they do a lot of things, so you're going to need to pick your battles and bite off only that which is like mission critical and where the real return on investment is up front, and have a phase 2 and a phase 3 plan. It's always a wise idea to approach this type of project in phases. That way you can let the return on investment help you fund future phases. And just be aware that this kind of project is rarely ever finished, but it must have goals and quantifiable results so you know you're done when you get there. So I hope that this has given you a little bit of insight into why you might want to do this, a little bit about the pricing so that it can be more realistic for you to consider upgrading to an ERP system and accomplish all of those goals that we spoke about, visibility and business value and customer support and so forth. With that, I'd like to open it up for questions, and we'll first take a look at the questions that came in over the chat feature.
Right. So there's a few of them. So the first one is, how long does it take to implement an ERP system?
How long does it take? Well, the answer is it depends. Again, it depends on the size of the company, the number of locations, and the scope of the initial project. I've seen these projects get done on a low side of 4 or 5 weeks to a high side of 4 or 5 months. It is always better to accelerate the pace of the implementation, only because the more it's in the front of your mind, the less chance it is for forgetting the training sessions or all of the details that goes into this kind of thing, because this kind of project, you've heard the term, the devil's in the details. It's really about the details and getting the data in the system correctly and so forth.
Okay. See, Joe was asking, what should they do before starting an ERP project to get ready?
How to get ready for an ERP project. I briefly mentioned that we here at Attivo, because we do ERP implementations, we do business process assessments. That process, I find, is critical. The goal there is to do a complete survey of every business function, and we kind of started doing this 15 or 20 years ago with a great big Excel workbook with a worksheet for every function, like purchasing and order entry, and 20 questions on each one of them, asking things like, how do you price products? So that you can basically describe how you're currently doing that. And the next most important piece of the puzzle is, well, what are the issues that you're running into? Well, I can never find the price sheet, or whatever it is that is the issue. And any kind of recommendations that come to mind to improve that process. Our goal in doing this is not only to thoroughly assess the business to find out where the real pain is, but it's also to find where the real opportunities are so that we can rank these opportunities. Some of these things might be urgent because it's a customer support issue that we got to fix because we're losing customers, and that might be a revenue increase opportunity, or it might be a cost reduction opportunity, or it could be some kind of compliance issue. We're not collecting sales tax properly. So when you finish an assessment like this, there's going to be a very long list of process improvement opportunities, and you'll need to rank them so that you can draw the line at some point and say, these are the things that we're doing as phase 1, and this is how we're going to go live with the system, and we will then take a breath for 2 months, and then we'll start in on some of these phase 2 initiatives. So it gives you a roadmap, and I find that it's very, very important rather than just starting in and hoping you're done at some point, because you need those goals and a fence around the project.
Great. So what about user training? How is that handled?
User training is obviously critical so that the users understand how first of all, how all of the data works together in an integrated system. And secondly, coming from a security perspective and the process improvement perspective, we have to determine how each role or each job that's being done in the company is going to change now with each one of those systems. So my daily duties used to look like this. They're now going to look like that. And provide training for that individual that's custom tailored to that person's job functions, and provide that training in a number of different ways, because people learn very differently and they learn better at their own pace. So we like to use online training to get everyone familiar with navigation and how to do the basic kinds of transactions, and supplement that with face-to-face training, which is a little more expensive because a consultant has to deliver that, to just answer questions and deal with company-specific problems. And then we take those users, once trained, into a pilot test, where in a sandbox database, they process a day in the life doing their job with real company data in a test company to make sure that they're comfortable with processing in the way that they're going to be processing, and that we haven't overlooked any processes that need to be addressed. So three points: online training, face-to-face training to answer the question, and then the pilot test for all users really confirm the training with them.
Great. And then the last question we got through the chat feature was, can my data be converted from QuickBooks? So worrying about all the information that's in QuickBooks currently.
Well, when we consider data conversion, there's always some amount of data conversion that we do. Clearly, an integrated ERP system is going to require more data and setups than QuickBooks might have, but we can certainly export customer lists and item lists and vendors and so on and so forth out of QuickBooks into an Excel spreadsheet, and then import them into the ERP system. I like doing it that way and providing that Excel spreadsheet back to the users so that they can review the data. This is the time to change item numbering schemes, to fix their customer numbers, delete obsolete or customers that are out of business, to essentially massage the data so that when it goes into the new system, it's clean, and then add any defaults that are maybe new to the new ERP system. Transactional data is a little more difficult because it's really apples and oranges. Quite often, it's a lot easier to re-enter the open customer orders, open purchase orders, open production orders, those kinds of things. And history is another piece of the puzzle. So sales history is often easily imported. Transaction history, you have to kind of rank all of this history, because remember, your old system is not necessarily going away. And a couple of 3 months down the road, it becomes less and less relevant. So we need to pick our battles and create a data conversion plan and import that which is really voluminous and static data, and really assess the more difficult things like history and whether we really need it in order to come up with a reasonably cost-effective plan to do that.
Awesome. So thank you so much. That's all the questions we have. So.
Okay, great. I'd like to thank everyone for participating today. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to call us.